Hey y'all, it's number 2. I'm going to freehand it for a bit and then I'm going to show you this mud pool that I can hear bubbling. And I don't think you'll be able to pick up the audio. It's kind of cool. You might be able to see some of it. I'll try. Anyway, we're going to go over to chapter 7 in Ether. I just want to point out before that, verse 12 of chapter 6 is about giving thanks after the journey. And I mean, this is something we should do all the time anyway, but they shed tears of joy, and because of the multitude of tender mercies. So they must have really had some rough times and given great thanks. And I've had that in my life, and I'm sure many of you have too. So it's just a nice scripture there. But at the end of chapter 7, we've already been through the death of Jared and his brother and a few kings. And what Moroni does is take you quickly through a whole bunch of stuff and then pauses to highlight things that we can learn from and different kings that we need to learn from in situations. So this is what happens. So in chapter 7, verse 27, it says, "And there were no more wars in the days of Shaul, and he remembered the great things that the Lord had done for his fathers in bringing them across the great deep into the promised land. Wherefore he did execute judgment and righteousness all his days." So this goes back to what we have been talking about all year, and about remembering. Remembering helps you to have courage, remembering who you are. Remembering is the antidote to the pride cycle. So this type of remembering is a gratitude thing, and it helps you to choose the right path because you remember the great things that the Lord has done for your forefathers. So look back at your family history. Where do you see or find the Lord's hand? Where do you find tender mercies? As part of remembering who you are, because all these things brought about made you, right? One of the little things I'll quickly tell you is my great-grandfather, my mother's father. He, after World War I, he said that, no more, I'm not having this again, this is going to happen again. He was one that had great insight, and he said, this is going to happen again, and I want my family to be part of it. So he said, we're going to immigrate. And he told his family they were immigrating to South Africa. And he didn't wait to tell them until they were on the boat that they were going to New Zealand. And word was it that they weren't too happy about that, but my grandmother at the time was only 5, so she didn't really mind. But they had a rough start here, but I'm so grateful for them, and I can see the tender mercies of the Lord in their lives so much, because it was coming here that they found the gospel. It was coming here that allowed us to live in this country. It was coming here that got us out of Manchester, right where they shoot Coronation Street, if you've heard of that. And it's a rough area, and we might live in a rough area for New Zealand, but we have jobs, we own a home, we're not all squished up together yet. Not yet. I'm sure it's coming. But there's so many tender mercies that have happened for our family and in making me, because that's one of the lines I come from. It's there. You just got to go look. So that's just one example. There's so many if you go look. This quote from this is from President Oakes, and he said, "We need to be reminded that in total and over a significant period of time, seemingly small things bring to pass great things." So all those seemingly small things that happen through your family tree, someone meeting that person and having those children, or doing this or doing that, bring to pass some miraculous things, being you guys, or other things you might have seen. Alright, so that's number 2. Here's the bubbling mud pool. I'm hoping you can see that bubbling mud over there. I'm wondering if I zoom in, can I do that? No, I can't do that. It's already recording. But there you go. Bubbling mud pool. As I said, the ones at the places you pay for, which incidentally right now are shut still because of COVID and no tourists, because they're pretty much the only ones that go there. Super expensive, and pretty much look like this, except for 1 or 2 pools which are really thick mud, and those are the ones they use for all the tourist videos. Most of the pools generally look like this, especially after it's rained. Yeah, well, there you go. Hopefully I wasn't just pointing at the ground. I don't know. Okay, well, that's number 2. I'm going to go find a spot for number 3, maybe on a nice picnic bench, and show you some of the lovely trees and area. Okay, see you in a bit.